Hello there, compliments of the season, and welcome to this special Xmas package of the EOM Business Network. Oh yes, the EOM Business Network is a weekly in-depth report and analysis on the Nigerian economy as it connects with operators of businesses and the evolving markets. I am Elkanah Ogenovo Mowari, and it's indeed gratifying to know that you've taken time out of your busy and funful festive time to be a part of this week's episode. And so on this week's package of the program, we shall bring you our face-to-face with the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive of one of the most successful out-of-home advertising firms in Nigeria. We're talking about Media Link Limited, and we are bringing you the indefatigable and audacious Group Managing Director and Chief Executive, Kole Ademulego. Sit back now, relax yourself as we unfold the details. It's indeed incisive. Do stay with us. Style Next. Experience it and love it.
The dream Media Link, which is now a reality, came about when two young men then, they're quite old now, got together as friends. We were under the tutelage of Mr. Biori Shobanjo. He was our Oga at Grant Advertising. My partner was in media and I was in client service. The moment I joined, I met him there. The moment I joined, we bonded, we became friends. And it's been that way ever since. And a particular year, he was adjudged the best agency employee, and I also became the second best. So he was sent to the United States on training. I went to the UK. When we got back, well, young men thinking about the future, looking at how we can benefit the society, how we can actually put so much into advertising. Then it was purely advertising because we were working for an advertising agency. So he came over and said, look, Kole, let's look at the idea of going into outdoor advertising. And I said, why outdoor? As a client server person, I didn't even think about outdoor. So we looked at outdoor and we felt there was a yawning gap to be filled. With due respect to those we met in the business, the likes of Afro Media and so on and so forth, we felt it was time to have core professionals come into outdoor advertising. So my partner and I would say, were the first core advertising practitioners that said they wanted to make a living, a future, and also ultimately improve outdoor advertising. That was how we left Grant Advertising, and in 1984, 6th of July, we opened shop. The vision is to ensure that we stand apart as core professionals, put together an organization that would outlive both of us and continue to be a constant in this industry. How do you achieve that? Papa and I sat and said we must be different. That's how we coined innovative outdoor advertising. Because the first couple of boards we put together, some of our colleagues we met in the business had to come to us and said, What's happening? We said we never did anything. All we did was just changing the shape of what we met. So the first thing was to take it into a photo frame. Certain things were increased. The bulletin boards then, we had aprons that were redesigned. You know, we got an architect who was a friend of ours, Mr. Bayo Okpanuga, to say, Mr. Man, we're going into an unknown field. Known in one area, unknown in several areas. Design. The guy designed our office, because the first naira we made was to pay for the office and furnish the office, because we were coming from a very, very tidy environment. And for those guys to give us business, we must be, if we're not near them, we must be as close as possible. So that's been it, and ever since we had several introductions. So many products were introduced, and a lot of advertisers got interested in doing business with MediaLink, and that actually pushed us further to continue to look at areas where we can innovate, areas where we can make a difference and continually make a mark in this industry. Innovativeness. Something with us is, no matter how old, you say you have your brains there, there may be some level of diminishing returns later in life. But again, you operate in an environment where everybody is a player. You travel, you go outside. The only limitation we had in Nigeria was the buy-in of those that spend the money. You go in there, there are beautiful ideas, you want to bring them back to Nigeria, we have infrastructural problems, which is an added cost. Because in order to bring in some of those things, you must be on power 24 hours. For you to illuminate, mere illumination, it's a problem. So we decided we were exactly going to do what advertisers will buy, number one, what they can afford, and what will deliver value. MediaLink is unique because we don't just sell space, we get involved. We talk about space, the uniqueness of where you're going, and the placement. 701 billboards on Ikorodu Road. MediaLink had a few. But looking at it, I felt we were going to have some clutter and cluster in particular areas. Outdoor goes beyond just taking a post and pasting it. The issue of monitoring and all that we kind of introduced. And having some reliable data was something we welcomed. Giving some minimum benchmark was also something we welcomed and introduced. So, I mean, if you're paying so much money, there must be a way of checking on deliverables. Well, talking about technical partners, I would say yes, we have things that are not MediaLink specific. We have partners that are industry specific. And we also have partners that, you know, as MediaLink, we probably go to first. But at the end of the day, also get into doing business with some of our other colleagues. Yeah, we have Rotopanel. It's one of the earliest ones we dealt with in the Netherlands. We also have some people we took, some of our scrollers from in France. I think unfortunately they're no longer in business, or they're in the process of, you know, winding up. Those ones, we were there, we got adequately trained, we got the products in, but there were too many technicalities. For instance, you won't have ordinary paper going into their products. We had to import special kind of paper, special kind of printing. The structures are still there. Sheraton, King Adeshola, the scrollers, they're still there, but unfortunately at very high cost to MediaLink. But it's not something we can just throw away, because huge investments, you know, went into them. And of recent, when the world started embracing digital, we also had to go digital. So we went to the States. We went to the most expensive producer of digital billboards, Watchfire, and bought structures from them at very, very high cost. We're not regretting it. We have a lot of advantages over and above competition, I must say, because from this office, you can talk to the board. From this office, you can monitor the board. From this office, you can upload. Presently, we're uploading MTN from here. We don't have to go beneath the board. And should anything go wrong with the board, it talks to like 4 of us. My partner, myself, the guy in charge of finance who deals with the system, and the guy in marketing. And also the US partners. So, that is. And spending that much also, we have a minimum guarantee of 6 years and a maximum of 11 years on the structure. So we're hoping and praying that there will be good return on investment. We're also praying that government will realize the importance of marketing communication. Even if you put a professional there, the core civil servants are there waiting in the wings to ensure that professionalism is not practiced the way it should be practiced. Nobody says government business should not be advertised. Was it Radio Lagos that had something doing and we were invited? And Governor Fashola said to the organizers, if any ministry comes to you asking for pro bono, tell them sorry. Because advertising and marketing communication appropriation has been made and approved of by the government and budgeted for. So if they come and ask you for pro bono, please say no in the kindness of words, so that these guys can go dip their hands into the budget and fund us. Because if we continue to give everybody pro bono, what will happen to the industry? When you talk about advertising, somebody said something someday, that if it was flying into Lagos and there was no billboard, it would be like there's no commercial activity in this town. Yes, you don't know the OMO is in existence. You don't even know there's MTN at whatever service, they offer. So it is important. We welcomed APCON, and we're still working with APCON, and we're still in the vanguard of improving the industry. APCON is a welcome development. Without APCON, it will be a free-for-all. It will be a free-for-all. As Nigerians, we're very, very difficult to control as a people. Everybody thinks they can cut a corner. So with APCON, at least somebody knows there's a watchdog somewhere. The guy is only waiting to prey on anybody that is misbehaving so that you can grab him by the neck and bring him, if it's not judgment, at least towards some level of sanity. So, APCON is a welcome development. And the recent happenings in APCON, initially we were saying advertisers, it was only the individuals that will be registered and allowed to practice and so on and so forth. It's gone beyond you and I now. It's gone to corporate organizations, where for you to do advertising for gains, you must be licensed to practice advertising. I'll give you an example. In outdoor at a time, when it was a free-for-all thing, we had the association, but everybody would subject to self-censorship. But at the end of the day, it wasn't really that. Linters invited us for a meeting. It was to tell us that a member of our association then had collected a contract and was paid some reasonable amount of money. And that was the last they saw these guys realize. And it was being done on behalf of a client. So I just came over and said, this is the problem we have. And we now told them that is why every practitioner should belong to the association. It's not only belonging to the association, also the association would know where their offices are. Otherwise, you have fly-by-night briefcase executives. They make quick money, maybe they go into farming, or some of them just take off and that's it. It would impact negatively on the industry. So APCON is taking steps in the right direction. The environment is too hostile. Let us start with mere acquisition of sites. By the time you acquire sites, there are too many interests who would say the land either belongs to them or their great-grandfathers. Again, you have the various tiers of government. The federal comes, he says, this land is vested in the Ministry of Lands. Ministry of Works says it is vested in them because they want to construct highway. That's at the federal level. You have inland waterways, which says there's a decree or a law or an act that gives them, is it 100 meters, is it 200 meters from the shoreline, and so on and so forth. Number one. Number two, you now come to the states. The states now have introduced several agencies. We're not for not having controlling agencies give locations based on master plans. We're not averse to that. But what do you have? Interests. Rather than being professional. Look, there's a board at point B. The law has agreed, or the guidelines has agreed between whatever government agency that is set up and the professional association. Respect. If it's a 200 meter, respect the 200 meters. If it's a 100 meter, respect the 100 meter. So that the advanced person comes and says, I want Ikorodu Road. And you know that there can't be boards again on Ikorodu Road. Whatever is vacant on Ikorodu Road, you buy. We have issues with also the government agencies and also the local government and also those that are not recognized by law, the area boys. We do a lot. We're buying a new product, they must go train where the products are coming from. And those guys also come in regularly to talk to us, to train them. We have the local APCON training. We also have the industry training, which is on because regularly, and people in accounts do not just sit and assume that it's just for debit and credit. They also must go for their professional kind of training. Yes, that would be important too. My partner is a past president of this association, Outdoor Advertising. And ever since we opened shop, we have been members of the executive since 1984. We've acted in one capacity or the other until he eventually became the president. And I just stepped aside as the immediate past president of the association and gotten several awards, so many plaques. But because the international flavor hasn't been added to it, during my tenure that we got to join the World Outdoor Advertising Body, FEPE, as a World Outdoor Advertising Association. The president even visited us. We went to APCON, and now we're part of that body and we participate in most international conferences, exhibitions, and also the FEPE Day. You know, I think for 2014 will be held in Austria, I think. So we are a part of that, and MediaLink is also a corporate member aside from OAN being an organizational member. Bankole Ademulegun is a guy who graduated from the Kaduna Polytechnic. Late Brigadier Ademulegun, unfortunately, was assassinated during the first Nigerian coup in 1966. It was my father, and thereafter we picked it up. Worked with several organizations like Flour Mills, Mobile, before Grant Advertising, and now MediaLink. I've been in business with my partner now for, it's going to be 30 years next year, 2014. It's going to be 30 years. And we thank God it's been 30 years of giving thanks to God, glorifying His name. We've had our low, moments. We've had moments been very, very high. We've had moments that really gave us a rough tackle, especially dealing with governments. But one thing is uppermost. We left Grant Advertising to set up this business, and this is the only business we know how to do. And we're going to remain in this business. And, we have able and capable executives that can even take care of this organization when my partner and I are out. MediaLink runs. There's no problem at all. And he's married. He has 4 children. He has grandchildren. Oh yeah. And he's giving thanks to God. He still has a mother in her late 80s though. She's still there, kicking. And my siblings, I lost my elder brother. Yeah, his photograph is there. I lost him. And the others are still alive. I happen to be number 2. I still have 4 behind me. I'm a member of Ikoyi Club. I used to play tennis. Once in a while, I find time to socialize. I really socialize, it's not once in a while. Find time to socialize. Well, my children and I go into a bit of traveling, with my spouse also. Sometime when there's adequate time, yes, I take to reading, wanting to know what had happened. The history of a lot of empires, I want to know. I get to read. And persons. How the likes of Dubai, etc. were developed. There are things that really, really probing and they interest me. I want to know. And how they've been doing it. And why we can do it. I don't know, maybe the younger ones would also take up this battle and turn it around for good. Even in old age, so that we can have some level of enjoyment in this country.
There are 2 stakeholders in Nigeria, the government and the private sector.
The people who supply cement, generally speaking, know what they're doing. I mean, they are very obvious suppliers around, and they supply good quality cement. So
we have capacity issue in the real estate provision in the country.
I must say, in all frankness, AFCON have been very, very lively in the last 4 years.
Major challenges facing the marketing communication industry in Nigeria is the problem of funding.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings to you and all of your kin, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And this is about all time we permit on this week's package of the EOM Business Network. Thank you very much for staying with us. We'd like to also express our profound gratitude to you, our sponsors, for your continued interest and support. And just in case you missed out on this broadcast, you can still catch up with us on www.eomcommunications.com. I am Elkanah Ogenovo Mowari. On behalf of the rest of the production team, we enjoin you to have the best of the rest of the festive season. Happy New Year. Same time, same channel next week. We'll see you then.